for those of you who have carpal tunnel syndrome and would like to get the most out of this healing, I suggest that you take your better hand and put it over the area that hurts in the other wrist. And if you have carpal tunnel in both wrists, then you can do this healing on one wrist and then rewind and do the healing on the other side if you like. So with a hand over the wrist, and you can either put the hand directly on the skin like that, or you can just put it near the skin. I personally like to put it near but not on, and the reason is that in this healing you are healing yourself. And what we're doing is we're connecting the energy of consciousness. That means the part of you that has the capabilities and the wisdom and the understanding to heal that wrist. That's the part that's actually going to be doing the work. So that part is not manifest part of self. So this, when it's not actually physically touching, but of course if it's easier, just put it on is fine. Then energy touches energy. Energy touches energy. All right, we're going to go into this healing. I'm looking out into the field of the being. I'm looking at everybody and everybody's wrists. This healing will also be good if you have other imbalances in the wrist, such as arthritis or any kind of broken bones or injuries. And the first thing that's coming up is that the celestial body is humming in a wave of deepest, tender compassion. Compassion and love. This area of the body, the wrists and the hands, this is where we interact with the world. And what I'm experiencing is there are imbalances associated with the belief that life is hard. Life is hard. Life is struggle and suffering. And that when we interact with the field of life, the result is painful. So the way this belief is being dissolved from the physiology, it's sitting at the emotional, very, very deep emotional level of the body, is by bringing in the understanding that, in fact, you are the whole universe. You are the whole universe. And this little body that we're all driving around in our little human bodies, these bodies are the antenna of the universe. So the antenna is necessarily a part of the whole. And the interactions with the environment are really self-interactions. And the world, the being of all creation, interacts with itself through you, through its antenna, for the sake of knowing itself better. So situations and circumstances arrive at one's door for the sake of understanding oneself better. It's not that, oh, this awful thing that is happening to me is because I'm awful. It's about how am I responding to this awful situation, and what am I learning about myself through my response. And so underneath the belief that the world is a scary place and I don't really want to interact with it, that belief is dissolving off. And what I'm seeing is another belief underneath that says, well, I just don't have the resources. I don't have the strength. I don't have the integrity. I don't have the moral code. Whatever it is that you feel that you don't have to interact. You don't have the resources. And underneath that is a belief in, or I would say, our habits, pain bodies, and impressions from having lost a sense of personal power. So personal power is the location, or is the quality that one possesses that communicates to oneself, yes, I do have the resources to meet my challenges. Personal power is reestablished at the third chakra level of the physiology. And it's interesting that a lot of the behaviors that we do that causes the wrist to malfunction are behaviors that keep the wrists about in that area, right? Working on keyboards, or, my friend who's a potter, and different activities. They're around that third chakra area. So what I'm seeing in the third chakras is memories that go back centuries and centuries. Your eternal being has been around since the beginning of creation. And you have challenged yourself on many occasions to see where your boundaries and limitations are, to push right up to the edge of where boundaries and limitations are and see how much can I actually accomplish. And that is actually one of the qualities of Earth life, is that we live in a world where we are not constrained. We're not constrained by boundaries as much as beings in other locations who necessarily are naturally and spontaneously aligned with cosmic evolution. On Earth, we can stray a bit from the course of evolution and still be here. I'm sure we all know people who are straying from the path of evolution and they're still here. So, and ourselves, and in the past, and all those memories. This is an interesting time that we're in right now, where we're dealing with karma. We're dealing with energies coming back that are a result of behaviors that we've performed in the past. So karma is also, and almost any time the body hurts or one has a symptom of some sort, it's almost always karma. So we're looking, here's what we do for karma. The collective level of the physiology can activate up the functions responsible for dealing with karma. Sometimes those functions are known as the karmic board, as a kind of collective of intelligences which understand this is your capability activating. This is the reclaiming of your power. These intelligences responsible for the nature of how action creates reaction. And as we all know, everybody who's watching, you know that sometimes there are people who seem to get away with murder and never seem to have to pay anything for that. And then here you are on your, path of purity or path of your spiritual journey, and, the slightest little thing and you get slapped or something. So the balance here, and there's several things happening at once. The causal body is producing energies that are conducive to balancing the system, and that's going into the gap between the denser and subtler levels of the physiology. The energies or intelligences responsible for dealing with karma are activating and are appealing to multiple points in the story of the journey of the soul. As I mentioned, centuries, many centuries. And so these points are being appealed or re-appealed and understood in the light of evolution, and understood in the light of experience that ultimately you are beloved being, one soul, one source of the whole universe, absolutely, completely, utterly beloved in every conceivable way. And this is what we all are. We're all the antennas. It has many antennas. And that every experience was a gift to that wholeness of creation, to show exactly how divinity penetrates fear, or how does divinity penetrate guilt, or how does divinity penetrate grief. There's so many different experiences that we've been through over the course of centuries, and those little impressions that were left in the system, they were left at the cellular memory level of the tissue. So we're really in the tissues now, clearing those impressions and pain bodies and attachments to those experiences. For some people, the attachment is the attachment to feeling meaningful, like life is meaningful. That if life is just easy, I'm just going along and it's easy, then where's the lesson in that? So this is constantly, we need to sort of reestablish our sense of inner balance regarding where we stand between having experiences that challenge one and having a comfortable flow of evolution toward the goal of life, which is complete unification of oneness, back with that divine source of creation. So balance is the key, and here is the key. Now, the carpal tunnel syndrome, either side, whichever side you prefer, carpal tunnel syndrome is a symptom of a feeling of powerlessness. And so in this healing session, the subtler levels of the physiology, which have the wisdom and capability and technology to heal this physiology, have become activated, and they will move into the tissues. They're moving a lot of energy medicine that creates balance is moving into the tissues of the wrist at this time, re-establishing and recreating balance. And you may be, if you've got your hand up there, you may be feeling that, a lot of lively activated energy coming out the palm of the hand and moving into the wrist. And you may also notice as we're going along here that you can direct your attention through the palm of the hand into the tissues of the wrist, into the bone and the connective tissues and the muscles and the tendons and ligaments and so forth, and actually feel each of the distinctively different tissues that are in that part of the physiology. It's very interesting. And as you do this, that energy medicine is directing right into the spot. You're feeling along there and you're feeling right into the actual spot that hurts the most. There's a core, there's a seed, there's a place in that wrist that's kind of like the center of the pain. And what you want to do is feel into the center, like where is the most hurt or the most painful, hurtful, painful part of that wrist. It's not the whole wrist. There's a spot that's the most painful, and that's where you want to direct the attention into that spot. And as the attention directs in, all the energy light medicines that your physiology is producing right now will move with the attention into that spot and will create balance in that spot. And the other thing is, of course, because we're dealing with a physiological symptom, there are other little things you can do. If it's caused by too much computer work, you can look for an ergonomic keyboard, you can look for an ergonomic mouse, and switch the mouse back and forth, things like that. But that's all superficial stuff. The important thing is the quality of your own attention, folding back on your own self, is really the most fundamental act of divinity. Divine being is knowingness, knowing itself as knowingness, thus folding back into its own nature in order to create the creation. So this energy healing is both a way of healing the physiology, and it is also a way of aligning or attuning inner experience of self with the greater whole. All right, thank you for being with me.